everybody. Saleem Reshamwala.
Good morning, y'all. Okay. There are so many of you. What is happening? This is crazy. My name is Saleem Reshamwala. I'm a filmmaker. I apologize in advance to the person taking video because when I have nervous energy, I move around a lot, and I'm super happy we have a wireless mic. Two kind of meta things that amused me about this topic. I was talking to a friend who he may be here. Jason, I don't know if he's here. Maybe he's here. And I was like, so I just got asked to do this speech on commitment, and he's like, "Oh, when is it?" I was like, "Oh, it's like pretty soon." And he said, that seems pretty short to ask for a half-hour speech. And he was like talking about how long he had to make his speech, and that like makes me wonder if someone dropped out of a speech on commitment, and I love that. That's beautiful. I would also like to point out the meta awesomeness of asking a dude named Saleem to do a talk on commitment with like willpower and all that kind of stuff during Ramadan and serve like amazing food and coffee. I'm just messing with y'all. I'm not actually fasting today for the video. Nephew Abdul Rashid, don't be like Uncle Saleem, fast when you get to that age. So here we are. We're talking about commitment. We're gonna start with a word, chicken. I had a college professor, a philosophy professor, who once gave us this question on a test, and it was like, if you're forced to play a game of chicken, you're driving a car, you see the opponent on the other side coming at you, how do you win? It's like that was the whole question. That's like it had nothing to do with what we read. And so I don't remember what I wrote, but I remember his answer. So his answer was, you tear out the steering wheel. Which is a bad, specific, and ridiculous answer, but it also points to something about commitment that intrigues me. And I'm like legit fascinated with commitment. Jonathan knew this is why he asked me. Commitment can lead to both beautiful, wonderful things. Like commitment is, family. Commitment's marriage. Like, can you do like Snapchat hearts over my eyes when I say that for my wife? So many wonderful things, loyalty, friendship. But commitment can also lead to terrible stuff. Like being committed to the wrong things is actually horrible. And it's really hard to know when you should be committed to something and when you shouldn't. And that tension, especially as creatives, where you have daily habits you're trying to hit, you have long-term career goals, you have like people telling you maybe you're in the wrong career. It's like a constant question. It's what I'm fascinated with. So in a bit, we're gonna dive into talking about one-take videos. And part of the reason why I love one-take videos is because, especially if like something very dramatic is happening during the video starts, you start recording, and then you're stuck. You just threw the steering wheel out the window. Like you gotta go all the way through to the end. And there's a lot of awesome, beautiful things about that, and there's a lot of complications about that. And we're gonna get to that, but first, I wanna make some stuff with y'all. So one of my rules is I always try to make things with anyone I'm in the room with. So we're gonna make some videos. We're gonna make a couple things about commitment real quick. So I make a lot of analog infographics. I'm gonna show you some of that stuff soon. And my rule when I make videos is to try to have something happen in the real world, right? Try to make something happen where I don't know if it's gonna completely work, a little experimental. So we're gonna make two infographics, and I'll post them online afterwards. They're about commitment. The room's a little more full than I was expecting, but we're gonna do our best. So first is going to be one about exercise. Two things that popped in my head when I was thinking about commitment were exercise and marriage. Those were just like the first two words that popped in my head. So the first is about exercise. A little over 50% of Americans do aerobic exercise 3 times a week or more. That was amazing to me. I didn't realize that. We're doing a pretty good job, America, in that respect. Thank you for doing that with me. So I want to make a quick infographic, and what we're going to do is I'm going to frame it so a little more than 50% so y'all are going to be my a little more than 50%, So when I say go, I need all y'all to just like move mad aerobically, okay? Okay, we're starting to make a graphic. And so everybody from this point over, move mad aerobically. Ready? Oh, I just took a photo of that. That's like indicator of wrong career. Here we go. Video and action. Awesome. Sit down. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now on this side of the room, the next thing that I found is a little more than 50% of America is married. So we're gonna make a marriage infographic. And what I'm gonna have you do, so this light's throwing me off. What I'm gonna have you do is with the person next to you, I was trying to think of like, what's an easy way to not invade personal space and make them married. So we're just gonna do like an awkward high five where you just hold the high five way too long, okay? And important detail, on this side, though y'all aren't being aerobic, y'all are involved because I need everyone to look equally happy because I'm not making any judgments about marriage or not marriage. Like, I'm not your auntie. I want everyone to look equally happy. Okay, so everybody they got a partner? You're gonna like high five and just awkwardly hold it. Okay, so wait, high fives down, high fives down. Okay, ready? High five. Awesome. That's great. Okay, thank you. That's some of my process. Thank you. Okay, next I have a question. I really hope that like some marriage comes out of that. The two people who just high five. That would be wonderful. A question for y'all. So, how many of you would be willing to keep your hands in the air for 5 seconds for just like some general audience approval? Like, hold your hand up if you'd want to do that. Okay, how many people would be willing to do 2 minutes for some like general audience approval? Would anyone be willing to do that? Just hold your hand up in the air for 2 minutes. Awesome. How many people would be doing like 5 minutes for general audience approval? You just got to hold that hand up for 5 minutes. Okay, we got 1, 2, okay. How many people would be up for doing that for 10 minutes? It'd be hard. I think someone could do it. Oh, we got somebody. Okay, cool. So this is gonna be a perfect illustration. I'm gonna need a timekeeper. So if you could put your hand up, and does anyone volunteer to be a timekeeper? Yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. This is our timekeeper over here. So if you can put your hand up and go. Cassio, come on, Cassio. Oh, there you go. Pass that to our timekeeper, anyone who was willing to do 5 minutes. And we're gonna test them. We're just gonna see. And so timekeeper, look around at your 5 minute people with your one hand in the air. That's you over here, a couple other people. Okay, cool. We're just gonna test this and see if it works. So at 5 minutes, feel free to interrupt me. Just shout out and interrupt me. One of the things we're testing here related to commitment is willpower. Now, I was just reading, I was trying to read up on commitment before putting together the talk, and one of the people I read a bit was Octavia Butler, one of the greatest sci-fi writers we've ever had, and she mentions that she thinks that she hates when people say she has a gift, she said, because she feels she has persistence at working at getting better with writing, right? And she said, it's not about inspiration, it's about habit. And that's a challenge for me. Like, it's hard to have really good habits. Like, everybody knows you should be working, at your art every day, et cetera, et cetera. So I have a dodge, and that's micro commitments, like little commitments. And we're gonna dive into some of those. And it's not an exaggeration to say, for me, that like my entire career is based on tiny commitments. So, as you saw, we were making some analog videos, and I'm going to show you like kind of the first that I ever made, which is a long time ago and lo-fi. So here we go. This was me alone in an apartment drawing with some tracing paper. There we go. 5 minutes. Oh, how are I was like, if nothing else is working, this hand thing is probably gonna work. And man, this is so tricky. But did it work? Were you able to keep your hand? Oh, that's awesome. That's great. There you go. Thank you for hands. Put your hands together for this person over here. I actually have a weird prize for you, and I don't even know if you want this, but I will make, on the subject of your choosing, a 30-second song and weird music video for that song. So you get to pick whatever it's gonna be. Yeah, I've done this like mic to the computer thing. This is cool. This is raw. Let's do it. Okay, here we go again.
All right, go for it.
Okay, let's see if it works. The tension. Oh, hey! Jordan. I mean, I'm right here, I can do this. Okay, so we're gonna draw the shape of, I'm gonna do the same voice. Jordan's gonna be Michael Jordan, the basketball player. We're gonna imagine him slam dunking his way, boom shakalaka, across the Middle East. This is a live version, this is really fun. So I'm Michael Jordan, and I rock because I ran to Afghanistan. Mnemonic device, right? Okay? So I'm Michael Jordan, I rock because I ran to Afghanistan. Jordan, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. What else do I say here? So yeah, that's it. This was based off of a prompt from Dan Heath, a writer, who was like, why can't people remember where Baghdad is? Oh, if this is Iraq and you just kind of write Iraq in the middle, then Baghdad's like on top of the A. Baghdad on top of the A. Baghdad on top of the A. Okay, so that was one of the first videos. That was one of the first videos I ever made. That was also the first time I've ever done like a live in-concert version of one of my videos. That was fun. And that was made at the request of this author named Dan Heath, who had posted like, why can't people remember where Baghdad is? And I was like, I don't know, but I'll try and fix that. And that like kicked off, that was just like me making videos on the side. So like, how did this become a career? We're gonna come back around. On 11/11/11, I turned 33. And my friends were like, oh, that's kind of like a cool number thing. And I was like, yeah, and they were like, you should do something with that. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make 33 videos this year while maintaining a full-time job. And that was like the worst idea. It was a terrible idea. I didn't sleep at all, but I did make the videos. This is me holding a poster with all the different videos. I actually made 35 because I was so afraid of missing them, like not hitting the 33 at the end. So I was like, oh, I'll make a video for anybody. And in the middle of that, it turned into like freelance work and got tied to journalism work that I was doing. And so not long ago, in this analog video vibe, I now this is what I do. I make weird analog videos. And when I say analog, I just mean a visible process that you can see, right? So like, I love digital stuff. This just happens to be like a process that I'm kind of committed to, is like trying to do as many things in the real world physically as possible on camera. So I did a series with these super talented people, Logan over here on the left, Bayate in the middle. We did a series called Awkward Race Questions, where people wrote us questions on Instagram, and we each answered. And it was like, oh, ask us anything, it's totally cool. So I'll show you a few of those. This is one. Someone asked like how I deal with Islamophobia. So one of the things I do is I use my name. So my name means peace. That's actually all tweened in there, nobody really cares, but like I drew like a gazillion things in the middle. So I tell people my name means peace. People ask me what it was like being both East and South Asian. I'm mixed South and East Asian, so this was the graphic for talking about that. Somebody asked me how ethnic I was. So it's like pretty maximum ethnic at this point. I'm like pretty ethnic. Somebody asked like for a discussion about kind of like the complications of what the term person of color does include and doesn't include. So this is like a little illustration of that. Okay. So we had a slight technical issue. I want to show you a video called North Cac. Has anyone seen North Cac? Oh yeah, okay, cool. So maybe this will work even if this doesn't, but we're gonna try and run it off the actual, let's see if it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. Try to summon G. Yamazawa into the room. Everybody just kind of work, feel his presence. I can feel him getting closer. He's like kind of at the, oh, he's here. Oh. And again, I apologize. I had a computer brick this morning. I really did. And so that's why some of this stuff is kind of makeshift. Thank you, Jonathan, for doing this all on your computer and being flexible with this all. So we're going to see if this pulls over. Yes. There we go. And this little, look at Stratford University getting their money for online advertising right now. Okay, so we're going to watch the first half of this, and then I'll talk a bit about it. Okay, so this is G. Yamazawa. That's the effect. Does anybody know the words? Feel free to sing along if you do. This is Ryan in the background. Kane Smigo standing like a tree back there. I don't know how these dudes look so cool for sustained periods of time. It's amazing. Oh, hey, it's Ryan, our dancer again. That's Jay Gunn in the background. Always looks cool. Like, I mean, I see him around Durham all the time. He has a tiny little dog, and even when he carries a tiny little dog, he looks cool. It's amazing. There's Ryan again. So I'm going to keep talking over this and explain. Some of these people met day of. We have the cinematographer, Ned, right here. Wave Ned Phillips. So the way it was working was, he's a cinematographer. He's operating the actual stabilizer. I'm behind him, like shouting directions. And what's happening here? There's a big online discussion about this. You're gonna see a bit of Jay Gunn, and then we can stop. We're kind of spinning around him, doing this like Michael Bay thing here. So, I'm gonna pause it right there. Oh, sorry, we're not in slide world, we're in YouTube world, and now we're back in the slide world. So, those folks met that day, and one of the things when you're working on weird one-take videos is you have to get everybody all in on the idea, right? Like, you can't have folks who are like, oh yeah, I'll kind of try this, because it just has to work right from the jump. So they met that day. People always ask, like, there was this big online discussion of like how is it made? Like there was a person who asked like, I think it's done with targeted cameras and green screens and like all this kind of stuff, and that they like way overestimate the budget of independent hip hop in North Carolina. What's actually happening is Ned and I went out the day before and marked out points and set where these guys were gonna run. And I showed this to another filmmaker, and they were like, at first I thought they were running, but nobody's that fast. And I was like, yo, my friends are mad fast. But they're just sprinting. So like, they get out a camera on one side, and then we're like, go, 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 and they just sprint over to the other side, right? So they're just running in circles. And then in that middle part where you see Jay Gunn, and we're like doing our low-budget Michael Bay rotation around him, and people are just appearing and disappearing. Ned's standing here. I'm standing behind him directing. Dion is standing behind me holding a light, and Mandy's holding a speaker, and we're just like running in circles around him as people are like crisscrossing in front of us. And Mandy is actually the least tall of us, and she's on the outside of basically a record player and is just having to maintain insane speed. So I want to talk about, this is my first time using my shirt pocket. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about a book called the Haggadah, which is a book of the samurai. And I'm going to give you some quotes from it. It's funny because I'm part Japanese, and I totally wish I could be like, when I was a little boy, my grandma used to read from this. But I just saw Forrest Whitaker. He was holding a movie and read from it, and that's why I like it. So I started reading a long time ago. It got me into a lot of, it's all about commitment and focus. So one of the things in it is, among the maxims on Lord Naoshige's wall, there was this one. Matters of great concern should be treated lightly. Master Ite commented, matters of small concern should be treated seriously. So that's just this thing I think about all the time. And with like these one takes, like I try to make a quick idea and then carry it out like with insane intensity, right? If that makes sense. So that's Haggadah interlude 1. There will be more. We good? Oh, wait, sorry. So there's also this quote. This is part of why I'm so into doing one takes and weird analog videos. A quote from George Saunders. He's a writer, and he's asked like, what's good art, right? And so his take is, good art is a black box. Doesn't matter what it is or what's in the box. What matters is that when you go into the box, when you come out of the box, you're different than you went into the box as an observer, right? So if you experience the art, you come out differently. That's what's important. And I recently realized, after talking about this on the Super Empty podcast, we were chatting about this, and I realized afterwards, like, the reason I'm really into weird one-take videos is I want the making to be a black box. And when I come out of the making, I want something about me to be different. And I don't always know what that is, but that's something that like I try to think about before every shoot. So I'm gonna talk about one more one take that was pretty dramatically complicated. It was for a band called Young Bull. Okay, so we decided we were going to make a, there's a video called Drop by the Far Side. Has anyone seen it? Okay, yeah, cool. So Drop's like the classic starter of this technique where you film a music video backwards. Now to do that and have people rapping in it, you have to figure out a way to make the lips move the right way for the backwards lyrics. So I'm gonna show you some of our process for that. This is, I think this was maybe the first video. Oh yeah. So Christian is I just had him lip sync the actual song, right? So he's just lip syncing his phone. Okay, so that's him doing the original thing. We hired a lip reader named Hadassah. She's really cool. And this gentleman over here, frequent collaborator, John Law, holding the giant balloon. And I sat down and started like figuring out ways to recreate it. And I was also working with a guy named Gabe, who runs a clothing company called Runaway out of Durham. And now I'm about to show you this super awkward, creepy video of me practicing singing the backwards words to the song. Yeah, I don't know why I look so intense in this. I'm sorry, guys. Get it out of your system, come on. Okay, here we go. Look at Gabe, too. Gabe's so serious back there. What are we doing? Who are these? We're like in an office. Okay. So that's me singing Hearts, a bunch of amateur hearts. A bunch of amateur hearts, we should tell you. And now the flip. Almost sounds like Superstar there. So let's hear it with a track. Like, not bad, right? Who is that guy? Okay. So we rewrote huge chunks of the song with totally ridiculous fake lyrics. Okay, so this is me and Law singing. And then, so we did that for most of the song, and we played it for a bunch of the band's friends on the day of the shoot. The shoot had to get rescheduled a couple times. And I'm going to show you a bit of how the video came out. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but just a bit. So you'll see a couple cameos from folks, some Raleigh folks. Does anyone know Ace Henderson? Yeah? Ace Henny? Okay. Was that Ace Henderson? Did he walk by there? Or maybe he comes by in a minute. So yeah, the sync is working pretty well. Things are going okay, right? This looks like kind of a controlled situation. Now look at Tamik. He's noticed something's gone wrong in the corner, right? Now I'm going to show you a bit of the actual, this is never seen before footage, of the video in the right direction. That's assistant director Mandy Paget is yelling in the background there. She yelled wizards, because in this section everyone's saying, all the dope wizards. All the dope wizards. He just looks mad casual. There's Law. Law is not in this band, he's just a very helpful guy. Oh yeah. So here's where I underestimated what telling a group of 21-year-olds to break things meant. And a couch just knocked over a wall too early. That's why Tamik had that face and expression before in the reverse. So yeah, that's the way it actually played out. So this gets to a principle. I think you're good on sound. That I always think of, which is, and I'm not saying this is the way everything should be done, this is just the way I work with these things, is plan in pencil and write in ink. So that's like the whole nature of what you're doing when you make a one-take video. You make all these plans, you spend all this time planning, and then the day of, every single line is committed. You know, every single line is locked down. Shout out to my dad, he's somewhere, where's my mom and dad? Oh, there's my mom and dad in the audience. They gave me my dad gave me a great piece of advice once when I was in New York. I was like coming back, I was going up to New York, I was like, I don't know, where do I live? I don't know. My dad was like, I was like, I don't have enough money to really rent a place for on the regular, and he was like, sign a lease. And I was like, but Dad, I don't know how much this is gonna work 3 months from now. He was like, you'll figure it out if you sign the lease. And that's what kept me in New York, and that's like just been a thing I think about all the time. I'm gonna show you just a couple more things before we wrap up here. This is a video called Air. I'm gonna show you the trailer for it. I'll show you a piece first, just a piece first. Oh, sorry, yeah. That's the real Law in the corner. I don't know, this was like in 2012 when I thought I needed to put my name real big on things. It's really dorky. So coming to September 2012, I want to tell you, so this is like, I'm taking you back to where we were. That video involved, the fire in that video is a woman who, I never learned her full name. She went by Christine the Amazon, is that right? Who breathes fire like crazy, like had like the whole like, I didn't totally get how it works, but does the thing where you like breathe in fumes and you blow and like the plume of flame comes out. And I had not known if I was gonna do this video, and I'd written Law. We were like, we got this beach house, we got a fire breather, and I was like, man, if you can get me a trampoline, and then I've had 2 other random objects that I don't even remember what they were. And Law wrote me back like 20 minutes later, and he was like, I got him, bro. And I was like, dang it, I gotta do this video now. Okay, so keep in mind, there's a trampoline, there's a fire breather, all kinds of madness. Sunrise, shoot at the beach. Do you guys wanna see the whole video? Yeah. Never happened. The video never got finished. And it's like 99.9999% my fault. I said yes to this thing, and I just had too much stuff going on, and then eventually the sound file got lost, and like all this, and the video never got finished. This is like, luckily this was before I was like doing this full time, so nobody went hungry because of this. But yeah, it just didn't happen. And that reminds me of this quote from the Haggadah that I think about a lot. I'm gonna paraphrase, but the quote says, if a warrior's head is chopped off, he should still have the intensity to complete the action he was doing when his head was cut off. And when I was a kid, I heard that, I was like, man, that's so cool. Like, I want to be that dude. I don't know what I was like drawing comics, and I was like, cut my head off, comics gonna get done. And now I realize that the quote's kind of dumb. Like, because maybe a few steps earlier, the dude should have avoided the situation where it's like, maybe there's a more useful perspective on that moment. I'm not saying it's a dumb quote, but it also points to another thing about the Haggadah, which I did not learn until recently. I thought that it was like this book of the samurai that was like, hey, samurais, let's get together and write a book about how we do things, and other samurais will learn, and everybody will know how to fight. But it was actually written 200 years after any samurai were actually fighting. So it's a book that's written about nostalgic ideals that no one was really living, at least at the time of the writing. And ever since I learned that, I always think about like, oh, what things have I tried to follow or have I thought were amazing that just weren't true, you know? So that points to overcommitting. And Pierce Freelon's in the audience here. He, like, every week we work out together and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this new project. I'm not sure if I should do it. It doesn't really feel like a good fit, but I'm probably gonna do it. And he's like, no is a love word. That's what he says all the time. No is a love word. It's a great quote, and I think about it all the time. That you say your grandma said that, right? No is a love word. I mean, saying no buys you the time to be who you need to be, can buy the other person opportunity to work with someone who's right for the project. So now I think about that all the time. I'm gonna wrap up with just a couple more things. I just like jumping from like really dramatic quotes to like, this is just a quick drawing to remind me of a quote from a freestyle that my friend, who is not a professional freestyler, once did. In the middle of this freestyle, he's in a store that he owns, and he says, I don't know why I always remember this because it just cracks me up. He's like spitting out lines, and he's like, when you find me in the store, that's where I'm at. And it's like, and it's like, yo, that's mad true. And weirdly, even though, you know, it's just like a thing he said to a freestyle, I think about it all the time. Because it relates to this other thing I once heard. A friend was reading the autobiography of General Colin Powell. And he had this thing where every job that he was at, he would try to pretend that he was stuck at that job for his entire life. Right? I'm probably butchering the story. If anybody knows General Colin Powell, call him up, check on it. But he would try to imagine that he was going to be there his entire life. And what would he do if he were in that situation forever, right? I think that, and that's been like this powerful thought process. It's weird that that freestyle always reminds me of that, but we're making a choice to be, just speaking honestly, as creatives staying in the triangle, you're making a choice to be outside of creative hubs. You could be in New York, you could be in LA, but when I think about that quote, I think about what it means to stay here. And like when I think about building scene, like building the scene in the area, that's not an act of charity. That's actually an act of selfishness, because I want this world to exist. Like I want a creative world to exist where we're all contributing as much as we can, where everybody can contribute. So we're building that, right? So as long as you're here, I just want everyone to be in on it and committed to making this the dopest creativity possible, creative community possible. There's a really specific thing that I'm passionate about. I hear, you know, lots of people are left out of creative communities. And one of the things that I always hear is, yeah, you know, well, actually it's the pipeline though, because like at this point, like, you know, if you're trying to have a filmmaker, I mean, we don't have enough of these excluded folks going to film school. Or I hear in ad companies all the time, people be like, I'll walk into an ad company and everybody looks the same. And I'll ask about it. They're like, yeah, it's a real challenge. We're working on it. But you know, there's not a lot of people coming out of copywriting school from these underrepresented communities, you know? And like, so how are we going to reach out to that? I do not believe that line of thinking, complaining about the pipeline, because there's 300 of us in the room and we are the pipeline, okay? So if we stay committed, and this is not to chastise anybody, like, I mean, I need to work at it too. We all need to work at it. If we stay committed to our ideals, if we think long term, not just, you know, who to hire 6 months out or who to collaborate with 6 months out or who to pay for, you know, refreshments 6 months out, if we think long term, We are the pipeline, and we can build that community that we want to be. So I want y'all to stay committed. I want to do one last activity. Are we okay for just yeah, okay. One last activity. And John Law, who is, I just want y'all to know he's a genius, among other things. And it's absurd that I'm making him carry balloons. We're going to make our own 8-second version of that reverse video real quick. So we're going to have to sing along. And it doesn't matter if you're in key or not, because we're gonna dub the other part in. So people holding balloons, don't let them go. Hold them really tight. Okay, so do you want to lead the sing-along? Are you game for that? Do you remember?
Sure.
Yeah, you remember the words? Hearts a bunch of amateurs, hearts.
Gotta keep them all on beat.
Yeah, so maybe do a quick practice round, and then we'll.
So what we'll do is 3 times. Hearts a bunch of amateur
Sure,
hearts,
hearts, we should tell ya. Okay. So let's practice.
Hearts
It's a bunch of amateur hearts.
we should tell ya.
This is just still practice.
Hearts a bunch of amateur hearts, so we should tell ya.
And last practice,
Last practice.
and then just chill for a second.
Hearts a bunch of amateur hearts, so we should tell ya.
Okay, now we're gonna do the real one. And at the end, that was great. At the end, our balloons are gonna release into the air. And then I'm gonna remember to get my watch back from our timekeeper. Okay, so you wanna do a 4 count in, like 1, 2, 3, 4, hard. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, ready? Here we go. Balloons. Balloons, release. Oh, the most. Oh, yeah. We have one anticlimactic balloon, one wonderful balloon. Okay. Thank you. That was the most beautiful illustration of the chaos of a one take and how you don't know what's going to happen. And that's what I got for y'all. Thank you so much.